So we had an interesting morning today. We had to put out a pretty big fire regarding a tenant that's occupying a property, which is one of our listings. She hasn't paid rent. How long?
3 months.
3 months, and she now wants to extort the seller. She knows that the seller has to sell. In fact, it's got to close by Friday, right?
Today was supposed to be the day.
Well, but it's got to.
But
Like,
now
the
it's gonna
deadline
close
is
Friday.
And on the 11th hour, she wants the seller to forgive all the back rent, give back the security deposit, pay $1,000 towards her movers, and what is it, 30 days?
Pay 30 days extended stay.
Yeah, which is one of those apartment buildings where they allow you to live temporarily, right? 30 days, 60 days, short-term rentals. So we got on the phone with the attorney. Why don't you tell
All right.
a little bit of what happened?
Well, backstory. She didn't pay, obviously, rent in 3 months. And the landlord
That's insanity,
actually.
right? 3 months,
I know.
$2,500. You're a landlord. That's $7,500. That's like probably 2 years of, their
Whatever,
profits.
yeah.
Yeah.
So hasn't paid in 3 months. The landlord actually files for eviction.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically threatening us that she's not going to leave unless we drop the eviction because she knows that we have to close.
Yeah.
So she's got leverage now, right? So she hasn't paid in 3 months, and she's known that we were selling the property, and we gave her more than 60-day notice.
Correct.
We said, listen, you have to be out by August 31st. That is the deadline. So back in June, we would send gentle reminders, and she would get upset.
What's
saying,
a gentle reminder?
like, hey, how's the search going?
Like a text?
Like a text.
Phone call?
Text. I mean, I didn't call her. I really texted her. I don't know about the landlords themselves, but in any event, kind of giving her a push to like, hey, make sure that you're looking. August 31st will be here before you know it.
Yeah.
I even offered my help. Right. I said, let me help you find a new place.
That's a good idea. I was going to bring that up as a tip, right? If you're an agent out there, a listing agent, or
Right.
even a buyer's agent, right? If you're representing the buyer and you need to step in to help out, maybe it is in your best interest to say, hey, look, I'll send you all the inventory that there is. I'll even schedule the appointments. You don't have to pay me a tenant commission. Just,
Right.
the prerogative here is that we need to get you out.
Yeah. So, we did that. We said, look, let me help you. What are you looking for? Long story short, she didn't entertain it. But she kept telling us, I will be out by the 31st. Don't worry about it. So at that point, I mean, we kind of have to take her word for it.
Correct.
Right? So long story short, as we got closer to the 31st, I would follow up with her. How's it going? Do you need help with anything? Do you have an update? Have you found a place? And the responses weren't really timely. First of all, she would respond days later. She doesn't really answer the phone until very recently. So, she just kept saying, yes, I'll be out. Now, 2 days before closing, she says that her apartment is not ready.
Like she just found out.
Yeah, she just
Like
found
she didn't
out
know
her
a week in
apartment's
advance.
right. Her apartment's not ready, and she can't move out on Wednesday. She can only move out on Thursday. She can only on Friday. She can only get movers there on Friday, not Wednesday. And she claims that the entire house is packed and she's in an empty house pretty much, but she just can't get anybody there until
Could be true.
Friday. Could be, but I mean, if you had plans a little bit better, you had ample time to make sure that somebody was there on Wednesday. So basically, after I spoke to her, she said, look, the apartment's not ready. I have to stay at an extended stay place. And the landlord actually offered her an incentive to leave by the deadline.
Which was?
The incentive was, hey, I will give you back half your security deposit before you leave, just to make sure that you do leave by the deadline, give you back half your security deposit and $1,000 cash to help with moving costs.
Yeah. Does he have any other houses so I can squat?
Yeah, right.
Maybe he'll offer me that.
So long story short, she said, okay, fine. She wants the money, of course. Why wouldn't she? But then it started turning into all these other things like, oh, I need him to pay for my extended stay. I need him to drop the eviction, you know, and the landlord's just not going to do that, right? He needs to sell, and she needs to leave. And at the same time, if he does file for that eviction and does go through with it, it's going to ruin her more than him.
Well, it's going to affect her negatively because what's going on is, you know, specifically here in New Jersey is that, you know, tenants are going through a very rigorous tenant screening process, like not just pay stubs and bank statements and credit report, but, you know, screening softwares or programs like NTN. You know, what is the other one? Spruce Rent or Spruce
Rent Spree or something.
Yeah, Rent Spree.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of landlords are basing it off the scores that they get from those NTNs. You know, so you can have a good score on NTN, but if your rent to income multiplier is less than
3.5, it has to be 3.5.
Well,
I believe
it's 3.
Oh, 2.5. 2.5. I'm sorry,
rather.
2.5.
If it's less than 2.5, it's not going to give you a good score. It actually say that you don't qualify based on
which is kind of
your
high.
income.
Which is kind of high anyway. I think 2.5 is kind of high.
I mean, if the rent's $2,000, you know, that means you have to show $5,000 per month. I don't know.
You don't think it's that high?
No, I think it should be a minimum of 3. You know,
3?
Yeah,
My
minimum
goodness.
of 3. Of course, 2,000.
I think
it
housing
shows
only
6,000.
accounts for 1/3 of your expenses.
But it's not 1/3. Remember, it's gross. 6,000 is gross.
Yeah.
Right. So by the time
yeah,
Uncle
you're
Sam
right.
comes and takes, you know,
You're right,
money
right.
out of your pocket,
I'll
and you have
say it
other
again.
bills.
I'll say it again.
Say it loud.
You're right.
Say it louder for the people in the
You're
back.
right.
All right. So yeah, I mean, it's very, very rigorous, and you know, if there is an eviction and a judgment in your name, it's going to make it very tough for people to get.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Forget it.
to get, you know, an apartment, you
So-
know, especially in the area that you want to be in.
She's basically, you know, trying to take advantage of the landlord. And what gets me is that she actually made some significant damages to the house.
Yeah.
So we're actually going to be going back there tomorrow.
Which is now going to be forgiven, I'm assuming, because
Right.
he's only going to take
Yeah.
half of the security deposit.
No, he's going to give back all of the security deposit. He just offered to give back half of the security deposit before she actually vacated.
Oh, wow. Yikes.
So that was the deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, I'll give you back half of your security deposit prior to you vacating, plus $1,000 to help you.
I'm assuming her rent's what, $2,500?
$2,500.
So
Now,
that security deposit is about $4,000.
yes, and so we haven't seen the property in the last, like, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. We're going back there tomorrow, but that's not the point. When he was there 3 weeks ago, you know, and he did everything the right way. He called her, messaged her, said, hey, I need to come and chat with you. I want to come by and see the house.
Love it how you threw that in there. Just
Yeah. I mean, because, you know, she made a comment about that he forced himself in there and
Yeah.
didn't give her ample notice.
Yeah.
So when he got there, there were so many things that were not looking good, right?
such as what?
Well, first of all, they have an above ground pool, and the one side of the pool actually like
So it's not
collapsed.
below ground.
It like collapsed. It like encaved.
Yeah.
So that's an issue, and
Yeah.
that's probably going to be a big issue for the buyers coming in.
During the final walkthrough.
Correct, because they didn't see the pool in
Yikes.
that condition. She was not taking care of the house properly, you know, and the landlords were getting.
Is there water in the pool right now?
There's water in the pool, and I said to the landlords, please go there to empty the pool before it like explodes and bursts, and then you have
Turns green.
right.
Yeah.
And she
Do
wouldn't.
the buyers want the pool?
I don't know, but they saw the house with the pool.
Maybe you should be asking.
I don't know, but they saw the house with the pool. So anyway,
They would have asked, you know, they would have said, get rid of the pool.
right. And she wouldn't let them go back. He's like, I need to go there to empty the pool. And that didn't go anywhere.
Right.
So
pool's
I have no
broken.
idea. Pool's broken. There's like just a lot of scratches and chew marks because she has
dogs.
2 dogs, all over the moldings, all over the doors.
See, if my kids ever see this video 10 years from now when they can understand it, that's why daddy doesn't get a dog for you guys.
Oh my gosh, trying to stop. So the moldings are ruined, the doors are ruined, some of them are ruined. I don't know. There's like marks on like the walls
Right,
and
so
the
it's-
ceilings. Some of it is
So it's
normal
not-
wear and tear,
It's not in the
but
best condition, and there's some justification to maybe keep some
the
of that security
floor
deposit.
is like buckled.
Yeah.
You know, it looked like she had water sitting on the floor and then it buckled. There's just
So where is it
a
at
bunch
right
of
now?
stuff.
Like, so it's supposed to close, you said Friday.
Supposed to close Friday. So movers are allegedly coming Friday, 8 a.m.
So landlord's forgiving the eviction now?
Landlord said that as long as she leaves by Friday, because the buyers said, okay, Friday is fine. Originally supposed to be Wednesday, but they said, okay, we can give you 2 more days. If she does, in fact, leave by Friday, then he's dropping the eviction, forgetting about the 3 months' rent, and giving back all of her security.
Wow, she made out. Yeah.
And $1,000.
Yeah, she made out over $10,000.
And now I don't know what's going to happen or how the buyers are going to react to what the house looks like now, but we'll cross that bridge.
Imagine she leaves and the buyers come in and it's in such an awful shape that they're like, we don't want to buy it anymore.
Yeah.
And he's agreed to give the money.
I know. And he also agreed.
Tough situation.
He also agreed to not go after her for any kind of damages. Period.
Wow. I mean, look, and that's why, there's a lot of people out there that are in favor of being a landlord, you know, and that's kind of, and when I was 25, 6, I think I owned a bunch of 2-family houses. I don't know the right number, but it was a lot. You know, and I had over 20 something tenants, and, you know, 2007 happened. A lot of my tenants didn't want to pay me. In fact, most of them didn't pay me. Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's when becoming a landlord is an issue, or when you have a tenant like her where it becomes a problem and it takes months after months and after months. And in his case, he's not even going to get the money. You know, he's not going to get the money. Like if it was a situation where he needed to sell, he would go after her, right? So what would happen is, you know, he would file for a judgment, or more than likely her
How long
wages.
does the eviction process even take?
In New Jersey right now,
Yeah.
I mean, they're so backed up. It depends. It's based on county. In some counties, I'm hearing like up to 6 months.
That's crazy.
Some counties even more. So, I mean, if you're a homeowner, right, and you need the rent to pay that mortgage, and you only have,
Right.
let's say, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months of rent, or rather 2 or 3 months of mortgage in reserves, right, sitting in your bank account, you could be put in a position where you can't make the mortgage payment anymore. And
Right.
that's kind of scary for a lot of homeowners. That's why the homeownership rate isn't higher when it comes to like rentals, multifamily houses, simply because of that.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think people, you know, like the idea of being a landlord until.
Do you like being a landlord?
Do I personally?
Yeah.
I do, because my tenants pay me rent. But if my tenants didn't pay me rent, then, and I had to evict somebody, not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
You know, because people think that they don't realize that the landlord also has to pay the mortgage.
Yeah, they think you're rich.
Right. They think, oh, yeah, because you have an investment property, you don't need the money. That's not true.
Yeah.
You know?
This happened. This is a true story. This happened to a friend of mine. Yes, I do have friends. So during COVID,
The stuffed animals on your bed don't count.
Exactly. But during COVID, a lot of tenants, you know, in New Jersey did not pay, right? Because some people couldn't go to work. Some people had some real health issues, whatever the case may be. But there was a specific situation where this guy was getting up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he was going to work. He was going to work. Like the owner of the property, right? Let's call him Phil. Right, let's call him Phil for this. You know,
Can we call him Schmuck?
No, we're not going to call him Schmuck. You know, but let's call him Phil. So Phil, the homeowner, saw the guy go to work every day at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you know, guy missed the mortgage. You know, the rent payment. So he sends out a message saying, "Hey, you know, you're behind a couple of days. Let me know when I can go upstairs and collect the rent." Tenant says, "I'm not going to pay you the rent. You're going to get bailed out. You know, so don't text me ever again regarding it. You know, it's COVID." And Phil's like confused, like, what? Wait, you're just going to
What do
work.
you mean by bailed out? Oh, because he put
there was a lot of relief. There was a lot of relief programs out there. Yeah, but that's not a relief.
You still have to pay it. Yeah,
exactly. That's not a relief. So he just simply thought, the tenant simply thought that he was going to just apply for a forbearance and that's it. Voila, the bank's just going to forgive you know, the back mortgage. So now this is the second and third month. Phil sends out another message. Hey, you know, we really got to talk about the situation. You know, I'm not going to get bailed out here. There are actually relief programs for tenants, but you're going to work. I see you every day in the morning. You're walking out of the house.
Crazy.
You're leaving at 6:37 and you're coming in at 4:30. I presume you're going to work. And he's like, he writes a message back to, hey, this is harassment. Stop texting me or I'm going to call the cops. That's how intense this has gotten during COVID. And
It's not just during COVID. It's now. They always
some
say
tenants still think that
that's harassment.
Exactly. They think that the landlord reaching out for what is owed to them that it's harassment. And I mean I know the story a little bit with the tenant and on that property specifically. She was almost alluding to the fact that she
said that.
Oh, she did.
She said that.
She's getting harassed.
Yeah, she said that she was getting harassed.
Don't harass me.
And she refused to talk to him, which is why I had to be the middle person.
Oh, you're mediating. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So
wow, it's sad and funny at the same time that there's a lot of people out there, blue collar workers that, worked very hard 10, 15, 20, 30 years to buy a home, right? Whether it's an investment property or their own primary residence, and they rely on the tenant or tenants to pay the rent so they can make a mortgage payment, and all of a sudden
they stop paying.
Sometimes it's a situation where the tenant just doesn't want to pay you. They got the money. She's working, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
She's working. They just don't want to pay you because they know you're selling the home, and they think that they got leverage because if they don't leave, the tenant knows that they're, compromising the sale of the property and almost.
So she made 3 months rent and $1,000. So she made $8,500.
Yeah, well, she made more than that. She got the security deposit back too.
But that was her money.
Well, it's not her money because if that house is in really bad shape,
I know.
It's very easy. Like in today's world, especially now, after COVID, everything's high, like labor, material.
And it takes forever to get done.
Right now, like a single family home, 1,500 square feet, 1,600, a painter is charging $5,000 just to paint a home.
Yeah.
Right? So that's just paint. Imagine there's actual work. Let's say there's a leak. You said that the floors are warped. I mean, I can go in there and easily point out $15,000, $20,000 worth of work.
Well, we're not going to bring you. We're not bringing you. Okay.
Buyer's like, I don't want to buy this anymore.
So I'm really interested to see how it's going to pan out. I think.
What do you think happens?
I'm hopeful. I think it's going to be fine. I think that the buyers will be a little upset, with reason, right? And I think that the landlord at this point will just be like, all right, I'll give you.
What's the contingency plan in the event they are very upset?
I don't know.
Well, you're about to get to it, I think.
Well, I think I've had a conversation already with the landlord. He is, I think, open to giving them credit for some of the damages. Yeah. He's prepared for that because he knows that if we go back on the market, look, he's going to have to hold that mortgage.
Correct.
For 3 more months anyway. So at this point, just cut your losses. We're at the end.
Let's say he has to hold on to this for another 4 or 5 months before, you have to remarket it, put it back on the market.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees you're going to get the same price again.
Exactly. Oh, no, they're paying over appraised value.
Yeah. So let's say you put it back on the market, takes a couple of months to get an offer, and obviously a month and a half to close.
Right.
So let's say that's 5 months.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say they get an offer that's $10,000 less than the offer they have now. So 5 months at let's say their mortgage is $2,500, right? What is that? $12,500 plus $10,000 less, right? Mm-hmm. That's $22,500. Yeah. So
no, exactly. So he's prepared to, offer them.
Open up the pocketbook.
Yeah. Because it just makes sense.
Yeah. I wonder how many people out there are going through like the same situation. Not the same situation itself, where he's selling, right? In that case, but how many tenants are out there right now not paying landlords?
Oh, I'm sure there's
right now, because there's no relief right now for tenants after COVID. Like there was a lot of relief before, right?
Right.
But now,
and they took way too long to even take that relief away, right? Wasn't it until like 6 months ago they didn't lift that?
I don't know exactly how long ago, but yeah, I think 6 to 9 months ago.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering out there, like, if you're a homeowner and you're not getting your rent, and it's not because that tenant is actually going through some sort of hardship, but it's just the tenant is misusing their money and they don't want to pay you.
They're not budgeting properly.
Yeah. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to pay you.
Listen, I think it's one thing that if you are going through a hardship, it's different, right? But if you're just not managing your money properly and you feel like saying, I don't want to pay the landlord, then there should be repercussions. And the eviction process is way too long.
But where do you draw the line, though? Like, let's say you're a tenant. I'm the landlord. and you say, hey, Mike, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to make the rent today or this month. I lost my job or something happened. Like how long do I let that go for? Like, where do I cut that off? Where it's like, hey, look,
I don't know.
I'm
3
sorry you're
months?
going through that, but unfortunately, I'm not rich. Like, I need your rent payment to start making my mortgage payment. I can only go 2-3 months without that.
Yeah, so I think 3 months should be the cutoff.
I think that's too long, though.
All right. Well, okay. All right. 3 months should be the cutoff, meaning that should be the max.
What do you guys
2
think?
months. Well,
What do you guys think?
Like some of these people are
it depends.
doing it almost as a career. Like it's not about their circumstance. Some people get into that mindset. They see that there's an opportunity, that they have leverage,
And they take
so
advantage.
the thing as a landlord to do is to, from the beginning, hedge your risk, start the eviction process, so that that you're not just pausing and waiting.
Correct.
Well, and that's what essentially he did. He kind of started the
But I like
eviction
that. Like,
process.
he's right. Like, Chris is right. Like, instead of, and I've done that when back in 07, 08, when I had to evict a bunch of tenants. Like, some tenants, I gave them too much benefit
Leniency?
of the doubt, too much leniency, too much room to take leverage, and I empathized with them, right? I should have started the eviction process, and then if the situation changed, then obviously stopped it, but just do it as a preemptive method, right?
Right.
I think landlords need to be very preemptive, no matter what the situation is.
Well, I think if the tenant, let's say, gets diagnosed with cancer or something and can't work because they have to go through chemotherapy, and then they,
Yeah, I know that. I completely understand, and that sucks.
But at the same token, the bank doesn't care.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. The bank doesn't. The bank.
I just think that they take advantage. And I'm just saying in general, right? Not everybody, but tenants.
Who's they?
Tenants.
Yeah.
Tenants. I think that tenants.
I thought you were going to say they, the bank.
No. Tenants. I think that tenants take advantage of landlords.
Yeah. No, on the same token, some landlords take advantage of tenants, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
possibly.
They
I
don't
mean,
give them,
look,
a nice
there's
suitable place to live.
right.
They don't fix
There's some
anything.
people that don't take care of take care of their tenants.
I've seen it where I
Of
represented
course,
landlords where
both
they were awful.
spectrums. Oh yeah. I want to know why New Jersey is such a tenant-friendly state.
I think most states are.
Yeah, but why? Why are they so for tenants? I feel like they should be for landlords.
Well, look, it used
Because
to,
I feel like they should want people to be
gonna-
homeowners.
I'm going to tell you why. Yes, that's true, but I'm going to tell you why. I mean, you can't force somebody to be a homeowner, right? That's number one. Not everybody aspires to be homeowners. I know rich people that don't own one single piece of property, right?
Do you think they pay the rent?
Yeah, they definitely pay their rent.
Okay.
But I've seen it in case I have a friend of mine whose uncle, this is how he used to operate 20 years ago. You didn't pay the rent, right? Let's say you were 5 days late, 6 days late, 7 days late. He would go upstairs when he knew you were at work. He would take all your furniture and put it outside, lock up the doors, and that was it. That was his eviction process, and he didn't care. That's why these laws are in place, because believe it or not, he wasn't the only one doing that. My father did that, 20 years ago. He went upstairs, took threw everything out or placed it inside the garage. That's not fair to the tenant.
aggressive.
It is very aggressive.
It's like borderline bullying.
No, not only that. That can lead to getting somebody upset to the point where something physically can happen, a fight, stabbing, shooting in certain areas. Right? You got to be very careful. I would get aggravated. Let's say I'm embarrassed. I haven't paid the rent. A lot of us have been there already. You can't, as a landlord, you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And not that they were, but they were just doing it. They were misusing their powers. And just because you're a landlord doesn't mean that you should operate in a certain way or a certain manner. You also have to deploy some empathy, because people, like you said before, there are some people out there that can't control certain circumstances. If you lose your job today and you only have 1 month's worth of rent, you also have food, groceries, electricity rather, gas.
Right.
There's other stuff that you need to pay for.
Right.
And it's like,
That's me and his money.
exactly. So what are you going to do? You're going to miss the rent payment, or
you're not
going to
eat.
not eat or feed your
Right.
kids? So there's some circumstances where you have to deploy empathy. You have to deploy some patience.
You do,
right?
And I always do. If my tenant is late, then it's okay. It's not the end of the world, as long pay me. They can pay. They've paid me. I don't know. I have one tenant that pays me before it's even due, and I have another tenant that pays me around the 5th of every month.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Yeah. They pay. Look, stuff happens, right?
But there should be like a reward system in New Jersey. Like if you have rent, especially right now, the rents are out of control. Like
they're so high.
Yeah.
New Jersey City, I believe, has the highest rent right now.
Yeah, exactly. That was an article that came out on NJ.com. There, in my opinion, this is my personal belief. This is what should happen. There should be a reward system. If you have a tenant that has paid the rent on time, right, every month for 2 years, there should be some sort of incentive that they get. Like, hey, landlord is going to pay, this month I'm going to pay your electric bill, your utility bill, whatever the case may be. And I know there's landlords out there like, why should I reward them for doing what they should be doing anyway? Well, because you should. Just like banks.
If they're good tenants, then you reward them.
So my parents own a house in Ironbound in Newark. They can easily get $2,200 for their apartment right now. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, dining room, eating kitchen, which is very rare to get in Newark. And they're renting it out to this young girl who's been there for quite some time. She's really nice, her and her kids, and she has like a roommate or two. And they're only paying like $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad's dying to raise rent. My mom's like, nope, we're not doing it.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes good tenants are hard to come by.
That's true.
It's.
That's a great question. What would you rather have?
I would rather
more
have
money
a good tenant, a stable tenant.
Yeah, more money and like huge
profit.
No, I'm saying more money, but the attrition rate, turnover, higher turnover when it comes to, or less money and somebody there
stable
longevity.
Yes, yeah. I don't want that.
But I've heard some landlords say, hey, like I like you, you're great, I'd love to have you here forever, but you should really think about buying a house.
Yeah.
A lot of landlords are doing that, which is awesome. Like,
yeah,
you should really buy a house.
You should encourage people to buy a house. But like you said, not everybody wants to be a homeowner.
No, definitely not. There's a lot of people out there that are not ready to be homeowners. They don't want the responsibility.
No, yeah, exactly.
Of being either a landlord or the responsibility of maintaining their own, primary residence. They don't want to cut the grass or deal with the headaches of an HVAC system, roof, this, that, and the other. They don't want to deal with that. And if that's your personality, that's fine. That's okay, right? You don't have to own real estate or invest in real estate all the time, although I believe that it's important to do so. I think from a generational wealth standpoint, I've seen what it's done to a lot of friends and family members of my, including myself. I don't own property other than my primary residence, but I also flip a lot of property. Like I rather do that, but I understand wholeheartedly the advantages of owning multifamily properties. And I think that there's, 15, 20, 30 years later, when you buy them, it's huge. You get to subsidize a lot of your income when you're not able to work anymore, and look, eventually at some point I'm going to park my money in a nice apartment building. That's what I like to do. That's why I'm flipping my money.
Can you just buy me a house instead?
Not going to do that. Definitely not. But the return on investment that I'm making right now in flipping properties is so high that it doesn't make sense for me to buy a property right now. It makes more sense for me to keep, I'm doing it somewhere between 25 to 28%, year after year over year rather. I'm going to take that money 20 years from today and just all right, there's a 26 unit or shopping plaza. There you go. Dump my money there or buy several properties and live off the income. That's really what the goal is.
Yeah. But I think that a lot of people are scared to buy a house or because they think it's too much maintenance. They're just not educated, right? And some people just I don't want to have to worry about a house.
Well, some people are not handy, so that's their
exactly.
issue.
They're like, I don't want to have to worry about a house.
Yeah.
So
what would be great? A company out there, right? You pay them small fee. It's got to be a small fee because no one's going to do it for a large fee, but small fee per month, right? Imagine you had a membership, you paid, I don't know, $100, $150 every month, and they're maintaining the property for you, right? They're cutting the grass, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're servicing it. Obviously, if it needs a new roof, you got to fix it, but they're coming out, patching it up, doing what they need to do in order to, create as much longevity where higher lifespan of the property where you don't have to replace the roof, right? Where you don't have to replace the HVAC. Imagine they can squeeze an extra 4 or 5 years, or 6 or 7.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Don't steal my idea, Joe, or you. Well, this is the person that steals ideas.
Oh my God.
What were you going to say before I interrupted?
I don't remember. Thanks.
Good. Anyway, it was a great topic. Yeah. All right, guys. Peace out.
Bye.